All right, welcome back. So in the last couple of videos, we had a real detailed look at using some of the tools that we have available in 3 of the most popular DAWs out there right now to quantize and get control of our groove, get control of our pocket. Now, what I wanted to do in this video was have a look at something really useful called groove extraction, being able to extract the groove and being able to map that out and actually extract it so that you can use it in terms of quantizing, which is something we're going to focus on in the last video of this series. But to start off with here, let's deal with this pattern over here. Okay, so this has a unique feel to it. This has a unique groove. Now, if we put it up against a click, it feels in time, it's right, but it's not perfect. It's not exactly quantized on the downbeat. Every note isn't 100% perfect, and that's important. So let's go ahead here right now. What I'm going to do is let's just make a copy of this, and we'll duplicate this out. And now let's just do a join on track. This is going to create a brand new file. So now we have a new loop over here, and it's exactly 4 bars long. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I want to deal with a contiguous audio file. And also I'm going to bring in a bass loop, which has a different feel. And we're going to have a look at extracting the groove templates of these. Now in Studio One, I've already pretty much gone ahead and done the same thing. So we've got the same drum file in here. Let's go ahead and take this bend marker view off. Let's have a listen to the drum loop first. Take my click off. Okay, so this is in 98 BPM, which is actually the source BPM of this bass loop. Let's go ahead and listen to this bass loop. Okay, so I mean, perfect loop. They play. Let's listen to that bass loop against the click. So kind of this lazy, loose feel, but this will be good because it's going to be a really good example in terms of extracting a groove template from these different files. So let's just have a look at this file here, mellowpocket_G0398. Okay, what I'm going to do, just to keep things simple and cohesive, let's go ahead and go into Pro Tools, and I want to grab the same file over here. So this will be coming from, let's close the brushes file, Mark Kelly, mellowpocket_G0398. So this was the file over here. Let's go ahead now, just out of curiosity, Pro Tools is in, okay, so Pro Tools is in 93 BPM. Let's go ahead now and let's drag this file over here right in at the top. That's not set to grid mode, but that's okay. We'll just drag this in. And what I want to do is I want to do the exact same thing over here. I'm going to take this file though, and I'm going to set this to none, and I'm going to revert. So this is going to bring us back. Now, if I go here, I can just simply duplicate this file out, and we'll go ahead and do that 4 times. And then let's just select everything, and I'm going to create a new contiguous audio file for this as well. So now these together, I've got this set to loop mode, and if I bring the click in, and we'll take this out of solo. Okay, I'm going to have to bring this level down on this file, but I'm going to do that with clip gain. That's one thing I like to do. I like my faders at 0, and I'll bring this down. Let's try this out. Okay, that works pretty good. Okay, so that looks good for now. So now essentially we pretty much have the same session set up in each of our DAWs. We've got this bass loop and we've got this. Now we're going to focus on looking at all 3 of these DAWs and how to extract a groove template and something that we can save and put into a clipboard so that we can actually use that in terms of quantizing our audio. Okay, since we're in Pro Tools, we might as well just start off with Pro Tools. Now in Pro Tools, we've got a really simple tool, like we've already seen this before, Beat Detective. I'm going to go ahead, Command 8 to bring up Beat Detective. Now you can see in my options over here, I've got Groove Template Extraction. So the minute I set this up, it automatically has a selection based over here. So it says the start beat and the end bar beat over here. So what I want to do is I want to go like this. I want to capture my selection. And then that shows me my start beat is 1, my end beat is 5-1. All right. We're in quarter notes and it is a 4/4 time signature. Now this is something important. We're going to touch base on this in the next video as well. Now the next thing I have to do here is I can do an analysis. I can just go ahead and analyze this, and I can just bring this up. And what it's going to do is it's going to search for trigger points, and I've got subbeats enabled. This is a sensitivity. So this is how sensitive this is going to be to finding my groove. And we got it that it contains quarter notes, but if I change this, you'll see that it also changes in terms of how many trigger points are brought up. So let's leave this to, let's say, an 8th note, and we'll dial in something, probably something about maybe like, we'll try that out. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extract this. So I can extract, and I can do two things here in Pro Tools. I can save to disk or save to my Groove clipboard. Now, usually when I'm doing this type of thing, if I'm extracting a Groove template out of an audio file using Beat Detective and Pro Tools, it's because I need to use that to quantize another file against. And it's usually to do with making two loops or two files gel together. So what I usually do is I save to my clipboard. Now, that's how we do it in Pro Tools. So super simple. We have our Beat Detective that comes up. We choose Groove Template Extraction. In fact, let's do this file over here. We capture the selection, and then we need to set the quarter note, 8th note, 16th note. So we'll set, typically drums, we could use something like a 16th note. And then we want to dial up our sensitivity till we get the trigger points that we're looking for. We can go to beats, or we can just go to subbeats, and it's really about getting this perfect. And this is kind of a trial and error procedure over here. For instance, it might be that an 8th note works better. It depends where the pocket and the groove lies. So after we do that, we've chosen the analyze, we can extract this, and then we can choose to either save it to disk or save to Groove clipboard. Now, like I mentioned, we've saved this one into our Groove clipboard. So I'm going to go ahead here and press cancel. All right, so next up, let's see, which is our next DAW. Let's hop into Logic. Okay, so in Logic, a lot of the times quite similar to how we had to go into flex mode. Even though we didn't use flex mode, we had to go into flex mode in order to be able to chop our region based on the transient detection points. The transient detection points are also used for our groove extraction or our Groove clipboard extraction in Logic. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this view, and we've gone ahead here. Let's choose polyphonic. It goes ahead here and it's going to analyze this. And now that this analysis is done, we can go ahead here and just double check to see what our timing looks like in terms of over here. We need to select this option here, transient editing mode. And then we can see, this is too much and I want to take some of these away. So if we wanted to minus some of these points over here, I could simply scroll through and say, all right, I don't need, let's just choose a point. I don't want this point. I just want the major downbeats or something like that, or I don't want this point. Now, once that's done, we'll just go ahead and close our editor over here. This is kind of hidden. What happens is it's actually, like I said, even though we're not quantizing this, it's actually in the quantize menu. So we have to click down here and we can make Groove template. Okay, so that's it. Very easy. We go into the flex mode, we enable a flex mode, we double check by opening up the editor, and we go into the file tab. We go into the transient editing mode. We double check the transient points, the detection points, make sure that there's nothing there that we don't need. If it missed some, we can go ahead and add some. Then we close our editor. We go into the quantize menu and we go make Groove template. Notice here now, the name of this file is now existing here. Now keep that in mind for the next video. Okay, so lastly, let's head into Studio One. Okay, for Studio One over here, I'm going to select this audio event, and then we need to open up our quantize menu over here. Now, the quantize menu and the audio bend menu, they're very similar, and they're codependent on each other in Studio One. But the particular function that we need to do is we need to click the quantize tab. Now, you notice here we've got two modes. We've got Groove and we've got Grid. So in the Groove mode, What this actually allows us to do is simply drag a file, drag an audio region into the actual clipboard over here. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use my shortcut to detect the transients. Now it's done the transient detection. Let's go back into our audio bend menu, and I can dial this up to bring in as many or as much or as little as I want. So now I've dialed this up. Let's go back into our quantize menu, and we're going to be in the groove section. I just need to take this and drag it in here. Add groove pattern. Now you can notice here in Studio One, we don't per se have a menu where we can choose it, but what happens is that it will enable this groove clipboard. You can see that instead of having our basic grid, we have now the grid, but also it's the grid based on this file, this audio region or this audio event that we've just dragged into this clipboard. So quick recap. In Pro Tools, all we need to do is use Beat Detective. We choose groove extraction, we select our loop, we capture the selection, we choose what it contains, we make sure the time signature is right and the start bar and the end bar. We set our sensitivity, analyze, set our sensitivity, we extract, and then in our case, like I said, we can save that to the groove clipboard. In Logic, we have to hop into flex mode. We have to open the editor. If we want to double check all the transient detection points, we can then close the editor. And then over to the left here in the inspector in our quantize menu, we have an option to make groove template. And in Studio One, a little more simple, but similar concept. We go ahead, we do a transient detection that can be found in the audio bend menu. We adjust our sensitivity. If there's anything that we don't like, we can go ahead and manually edit them by switching to our bend tool like this, deleting any trigger points that we don't think need to be there that are redundant. And then once we're happy with the selection, we move back to our main selector tool. We move back to our quantize menu, and we simply make sure that we're set in the groove mode. We take this file, we drag it, we drop it into the clipboard, and now it's gone ahead, and we can see by the name over here that it's added this to the groove clipboard. All right, so that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to have a look at actually applying these groove clipboard or these groove extractions onto other files and have a look at some different concepts that we can do with this. All right, I'll catch you in the next video.